I'm here to represent the more than 50,000 youth served by Scouting. It is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's program honoring Mr. Ben Fowkes. I would like to begin by calling on the Honor Guard to lead the opening ceremony. As the Honor Guard approaches the stage, I would like to remind everyone to please turn off any cell phones to avoid disturbing your neighbors.
Hello, my name is Josiah Christopher. I'm a scout of Troop 61, chartered to Pilgrim Baptist Church in St. Paul. Thank you all for supporting the youth in your community and joining us here tonight. Join me as we honor our country's flag. Please rise. Attention, color guard advance. Salute or have your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard, post the colors. Thank you. Please be seated. Color guard dismissed.
Thank you, Honor Guard. As we begin dinner, please welcome Area 1 Venturing President Natalie Nichols from Crew 3695, chartered to Prairie Lutheran Church, to lead us in an invocation.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of prayer and reflection. Dear God and Creator, we thank you for the community leaders who have gathered to honor Ben Fowkes tonight. We are truly blessed to have leaders who care about their community and who work hard to help others. Thank you for the opportunities that Scouting provides to young people like me, and for the support this community provides to Scouting as it develops and prepares us for life. We are thankful for this meal and this day. May we continue to serve our community for the betterment of all people. Amen.
As we start our program, I encourage you to continue with your salad. The main course will be served at each of your tables following introduction of the program. First, I would like to introduce two leaders in our community. First, Chris Polasinski is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Land O'Lakes and Chair of tonight's event. He is joined on stage by Northern Stars Scouting Scout Executive and CEO, John Andrews. Please join me in welcoming Chris to the podium.
Thank you, Raphael, and thanks to you and your fellow Scouts for hosting tonight's event. One of the things that Scouting does is prepare the next generation of leaders, and I can see you're well on your way to being the next generation of our leaders. So thank you. I also want to thank everyone here for attending tonight's event. We're all very grateful for your support of Scouting and recognition of my good friend Ben Fowkes as this year's Distinguished Citizen. Many of you were personally invited to tonight's event by a member of our energetic host committee. The names of the committee members are listed in your program and on the screen to my left. Their personal commitment, support, and efforts have made tonight's event such a resounding success. Could I ask all of the members of the host committee tonight to stand up so we can match names and faces and give you some recognition? I also want to single out Jenny Hedall. Jenny, where are you? Jenny really ran the host committee tonight, so thank you, Jenny, for all the brilliant work you've done. This year, this committee secured significant financial commitments to the event, which will benefit the largest youth-serving agency in the Twin Cities. I'm pleased to recognize our 5 grant sponsors who are also on the screen: Ecolab, Greg Page, Land O'Lakes, U.S. Bank, and Xcel Energy. Let's give our grant sponsors a round of applause. In addition, those great individuals and organizations are joined by 19 wonderful event sponsors, again on your screen, but let me read them: Anderson Corporation, API, Apogee Enterprises, Cardinal Glass, Fritz and Glenda Corrigan, Deloitte & Touche, EY, KPMG, Liberty Diversified International, Mayors and Power, McGaw, Medica, the Minnesota Vikings, Mortensen Construction, my wife Ann and I, PwC, Primoris Q3, Securian Financial, and Warren and Marilyn Staley. Thank you to these event sponsors. Last, but certainly not least, this event would not be complete without all of the companies and individuals who purchased tables and provided other sponsorships. The generous contributions of the grant sponsors, the event sponsors, the table sponsors, and the sponsors of a variety of other activities made tonight's program possible. Together, you have made this event once again special. Tonight is the 15th Distinguished Citizens Award presentation from the Northern Star Council, and I am pleased to report that we've raised together over $500,000 this year to help local youth learn and grow. Let me end my introductory comments by saying thank you to all of you once again, and by introducing John Andrews, Scouting CEO, to make a few comments himself. Thank you.
Before you're here, if you can stay for a minute. If you could hang close for a minute, Chris, we have something for you, and it appears to be rather modest. It's just a few printed sheets of paper with some photographs in it. However, they are photographs of the 27 recipients of our Eagle Scout scholarships this past year. One of our Eagle Scouts, in fact, received a $40,000 National Eagle Scout Association scholarship. But Chris, in recognition of your leadership of our committee, and thus of this great event tonight, you should know that they are named the Chris Polisinski class of 2018 Eagle Scout Scholarship recipients. And as I said, it's those pictures are all of young men. And 754 young men earned the Eagle Scout rank in our council this last year. It's probably the only thing, or certainly one of the few things, that a young person can do at the age of 16 or 17 and carry on their resume for the rest of their lives. It won't be too long, however, before that booklet is filled with pictures of both young men and young women. When I started working for the Boy Scouts 35 years ago this summer, it was very rare that I would go to a gathering of leaders or parents in this program and that they would say to me, "Why can't girls be part of the scouting program? Why don't girls have equity with regard to the Eagle rank? Why can't our whole family participate in this program that we love so much for our sons?" Today, And in these last few years, anytime I would go to a scouting gathering, it's the first question asked. This was a market-driven decision. This was a strategic design decision with regard to what the marketplace of tomorrow wants for their children, what they want to do as a family together. And we're very, very excited, not only about what the future holds, but about equity for all children. All children benefit from what this program and many other wonderful programs provide. There's a photograph of the Tomahawk Camp staff, and one of the things that is little known is that 40% of the 500 young people that we employ to serve the tens of thousands of children who have a summer camp experience, 40% of them have been young women for decades. We've been co-ed since 1971. This won't be a new experience for us. It's been something a long time coming. We're terribly excited about it. We're terribly excited as well about our particular unique model that involves leadership and teamwork that occurs, that cycle of leadership and teamwork that leads to success. Much of it now occurs for all children. Our board vision statement is to impact the lives of 100% of all children, whether they're a member of our program or not. And we see 50,000 people a year through the historic drill hall at Fort Snelling. And we'll now expand that to well over 100,000 people a year going through that campus in the new Leadership Center, for which we received the certificate of occupancy just yesterday. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Ben, for lending us your social capital to benefit these children. Thank you for everything you do for children through Scouting.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed our program so far and the wonderful meal tonight. I have an announcement. Would all the Xcel people stay here tonight after the ceremony ends and come to the stage to take a photo at the very end? Okay. Would all the Xcel people stay till the end and come to the stage to take a photo at the very end? Yeah. Okay. It would not have been possible without the support of tonight's sponsors. We are pleased to recognize them on screen during dinner. Please join me in thanking them one more time. Tonight, we're here to recognize Mr. Ben Fowkes as the 2018 Distinguished Citizen Award recipient, and to raise support for Scouting's outreach programs. To tell us a little bit about our Scouting outreach programs, we are joined tonight by Josiah Christopher. Josiah is a member of Troop 61, chartered to Pilgrim Baptist Church in St. Paul. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Hello, and good evening, everyone. Scouting is like my second family. I end up spending a lot of time learning and growing from them. This is extremely relevant to me because I'm a third-generation Scout. My grandfathers, grandmother, uncles, and fathers were all Scouts and/or Scout leaders. It is something that is very important to me, and I hope that future generations can experience. As I go through my day, I strive to live out the Boy Scout law, motto, and pledge. I try to help people even when it's an inconvenience to myself without the need of a reward. I have an example of this. I don't know about you, but throughout my week, Mondays are the roughest. I had woken up to my alarm, the third one, and missed my bus. Already the day seemed to suck. I was riding the city bus and was 3 blocks away from school when I noticed there was a man on the phone carrying a crate of flowers. He had rushed off and forgotten his wallet on the bus. From the size of his wallet, I could tell this man had a fair amount of money. Instinctively, I pick up the wallet and turn towards the front of the bus, but the man is already gone, speed walking halfway down the block. In that moment, I had to choose between getting to school in a reasonable time or getting this man his enlarged wallet. I remembered at the beginning of each of my meetings, we recite the Scout Law, and our Scoutmaster gave us a challenge to see how many times a week we could live out this law. Remembering this, I race after the man and return his wallet, and the reward I was given were a smile and many thank yous. In my opinion, that is the best thing you can get from a person. I end up turning down a crisp Ben Franklin, and I walk the rest of the way to school, keeping my perfect attendance. When it comes to weekends, my troop is involved in many different camping trips. I appreciate this the most out of Boy Scouts. I was with my 2 Scout friends, and it was dinner time. We had collected all of our small twigs and wood to make a fire to cook our meal. The weather wasn't the best, and we, being the newest Scouts, were left with the rough flint and steel set. It was a rusted piece of steel and a beat up small chunk of flint. Determined and hungry, we pushed forward. I tried this first. I bashed them together, and instead of bashing the flint, I bashed my fingers. Frustrated, I passed it to my friend Julius. With perfection, he hits the 2 together, and the sparks fly. The wind comes by and blows away the sparks and our joy. We then pass the flint and steel to Caleb. He ignites the fire with 1 strike. Excited, we run to go get our cooking supplies. Me, being the hungriest and the biggest in the group, I return first, and I realize that one of the sparks had landed in our extra pile of kindling. We now had 2 fires. Terrified, I grab our water bucket and drench our fire we had spent 30 minutes on and the small fire next to it. I don't stop there. With my fires training in full swing, I grab a shovel and bury both fires in 3 inches of dirt. I turn to my friends who look like they had a heart attack. I realize that 1, it's dark. 2, we have no fire to cook our food. 3, fires are difficult to build. And 4, I'm hungry. We end up eating the cold turkey sandwiches left over from the older Boy Scouts. That camping trip, I learned how to make a fire. When it comes to scouting, I appreciate every moment of it, down to the decisions I make during a semi-regular school day and the skills and challenges I face during a camping trip. Scouting is always a part of it. And I would like to thank all of you for supporting Scouting and listening to my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Josiah. I am pleased to welcome a very special guest, my mom, Ophelia Cortez. My mom has been in Scouting as long as I have, over 7 years. She volunteers and serves in one of 3 culturally specific districts in the Twin Cities. In her role, my mom has worked directly with youth members as well as other volunteers who help administer the Scouting program. These volunteers spend on average 20 hours per month in support of Scouting. My mom will share more about how Scouting has impacted our life. Please welcome her to the stage.
Good evening. 11 years ago, Rafael and I moved from Mexico to Minnesota. He was almost 2 years old, and it was a huge transition for both of us. I have always wanted the best for my family, and I remember when Rafael was 6 years old, I saw a commercial about Boy Scout. There was an event for families at base camp, and it really got my attention when I heard they help kids to get involved in outdoor activities and to become better citizens. I called them the next day. I didn't know if my son would like it or not, but these values were important to me, so I just signed him up. He was very shy and didn't like to talk with other people, not even talk in front of many other people. And look at him now. Scouting has really been a family activity for us. When Rafael joined Scouting, I joined Scouting. The kids and parents in our troop have become our family. And as a single mom, I value the male role models that Rafael has through Scouting so much. Throughout the last 7 years, we have done so many different activities, like camping, biking, community service, and many others. Scouting has provided for both of us with opportunities that I could have never imagined. Last year, the opportunity to go to the National Jamboree was presented to the kids. And many of them got excited, including Rafael. The parents start to sign up for their kids. And Rafael asked me, when are you going to sign me up for the Jamboree? My answer was, I'm sorry, but you can't go. I can't afford it. I could see right away that he got upset. Meanwhile, the other kids were talking about how exciting would it be. Scouting has always said it is for everyone. And one day, our leader called and said, Ophelia, there is a chance for Rafael to go to the Jamboree. The council will help the families that can afford the trip. Everything happened so fast that before I knew it, Rafael was taking an airplane to go to the National Jamboree at West Virginia. Today, I can say that the trip was the before and after in Boy Scouts for Rafael. He was never away from his family. He was never camping and living with about 40,000 other kids at the same time. That made him appreciate the family and everything he has more, even more. And it was a great experience for him that he couldn't stop talking about how proud he was to be part of this movement, that at his short age was giving him the feeling that he could make a difference in his life now and in the future as an adult. Before the experience and fun that he got, he was always asking me, why you sign me up for Boy Scouts? I never said I want to be a Boy Scout. Today, he thanks me every time he can for the amazing opportunity to change his lifestyle, because Boy Scouts is not just an organization that teaches kids to have fun. It is a program that teaches kids how to be a better brother, a better son, a better leader, and a good member of our community. And this is why I am involved in this program, because I see the change in my son. He went from being shy and quiet to be outgoing and more confident. Getting him involved in Scouting was one of the best things I ever did for our family. Thank you so much for your support of this life-changing organization.
I got my sticker. Thank you, Mom, and good job. As you can see, Scouting makes a tremendous impact in the lives of youth and in the health of the community. If what you hear tonight resonates with you and you would like to make an even greater impact in the lives of kids like me, consider picking up the card on your table and making a personal investment that is meaningful to you. Thank you so much. It's not here, the card. Yeah, those. You can see them over there, kind of. Would you like this back? Now is the moment you've all been waiting for, when we officially present the Distinguished Citizen Award to Mr. Ben Fowkes. I would like to call Chris Polosinski back up to present this special recognition. Chris?
Raphael, you're fearless. You didn't even stumble over my name, so I'm very impressed. But Raphael, I want to thank you again and your Scouting peers for hosting tonight's event. One of the things that Scouting does so brilliantly really is prepare the next generation of leaders for life. And I think all of us can see that you and your peers are well on your way to being the leaders of this community as you mature. So thank you for being willing to do this, and what a terrific job. As Raphael said, it is indeed a pleasure to recognize Ben Fowkes as the 2018 Distinguished Citizen. And with that recognition, Ben is joining a list of past recipients, which are in your book, and that list includes Phil Heasley, Dick Schultz, Gerald Rowenhorst, Warren Staley, Janet Dolan, Dick Kelly, Jeff Noddle, Jim Humphrey, Richard Davis, Mary Brainerd, Doug Baker, myself, and Mort Mortensen. Ben's business and civic involvement in the Twin Cities and beyond has, pun intended, literally and figuratively empowered thousands and thousands of folks. As I thought about how to introduce Ben tonight, I thought I'd go back and look up Distinguished Citizen and get the definition, but I decided not to do that. I decided instead just to let Ben's actions speak for themselves, because they do indeed define what I think a distinguished citizen is all about. Let me first start with Ben's day job as chairman, CEO, and president of Xcel Energy. Now, Xcel provides energy to millions of homes and businesses across 8 states in the Midwest and West. Now, all of us take energy for granted. We expect it to be there when we flip that switch, every time and always. Nothing happens without power. What we don't think much about is the tremendous competence it takes to run one of the nation's, and in fact, one of the world's largest utilities. It's one of the most capital-intensive industries on the planet. Generating electricity is complex and inherently dangerous. It's highly technical. And increasingly, it leverages technologies that are brand new to all of us to balance affordability with access to renewable resources, wind and solar. And oh, by the way, We should all recognize Xcel for being a true leader in the industry for a movement toward renewable energy. I mention that because at the cornerstone of Ben's recognition as a distinguished citizen tonight is his competence as a leader. And indeed, that's the cornerstone of what the Boy Scouts, the Scouts, are all about. Building competence through experiential learning, through mentoring, through doing things like hosting an event tonight that may push you past your normal comfort zone. That's how leaders are born. That's how leaders are made. And you're going to hear some stories from Ben about his own scouting experiences. But let me move and conclude my comments with some notes about Ben's contributions to the community that go far beyond what he does in his day job at Xcel. He's very generous with his time, his talent, and his treasures. He chaired the Greater Twin Cities United Way campaign in 2017. You go right ahead. He's been extraordinarily active with the Itasca Group. He's the incoming chair of the Minnesota Business Partnership. And in a very special way, Ben has been a quiet champion of hiring military veterans. Nearly 10% of Xcel's 17,000 workers have served in our armed forces. And Xcel has been recognized 8 years running as a top 100 military employer in our nation. Beyond all of that, and it's worth noting here at the end of my comments, that under Ben's leadership, Xcel has been a very strong supporter of the Northern Star Council, financially and with encouraging their employees to get involved with their time, talent, and treasure. This is just a brief snapshot of all that Ben does for our community, both in his day job, where his competence shines through, and with his willingness to devote his own time, talent, and treasure to support a variety of activities, including the Scouts right here in Twin Cities. To me, that defines what a distinguished citizen is. Ben, please come to the stage and let us recognize you as our 2018 Distinguished Citizen.
You know, when you're the last one, all your remarks have already been taken by the prior speakers. So I was prepared, but maybe I should have been extra prepared. Let me just start off by telling you how honored I am to receive this award. Chris mentioned the names of those recipients. Wow. I mean, I am really in remarkable company, and Chris, you're not the least of the remarkable ones in there. And I really appreciate your leadership, not only for this event tonight, but you might not know it, but Chris is our lead director on the board of Xcel Energy. So he does a great job. So thank you, Chris, for everything you do. I want to thank the Scouts. We have a lot of opportunities to give in this community, but what we see here tonight, and Raphael's mom, that's pretty impressive too. I just want to tell you, this is why we do this. Josiah, I'm going to share a couple scouting mishaps that I had along the way too. So, and I thank you all for being able to pronounce my name too, because I've heard it pronounced many different ways before. A few more thank yous. I want to thank John for the great work he does running the council. I want to thank all the donors that raised the money, over $500,000, as Chris mentioned. We know it goes to a good cause, but thank you for that. And I want to thank all the Xcel Energy employees that are out here tonight. And I want to particularly thank Ryan and Kellen Schmidt. These are two of many volunteers, but they're particularly special to me because I know they volunteer their own time to put those poles up on the flying squirrel video. And so I was confident of two things when that video was being shot. First is I would be safe because they put the poles up. And second, I'd make a fool of myself. And I was right on both accounts, so there you have it. I also have to give a shout out to Kellen Schmidt. We didn't get a lot of legislation passed this session, as Charlie Weaver, I saw him in the room somewhere, can attest to. But Kellen single-handedly led the legislation that was passed and signed into law that expands the move-over rule on the road to protect not only utility workers, but all people that are working on the road. So Kellen, congratulations. And I'd be remiss and certainly wouldn't want to forget my beloved family, many of whom here tonight. I have Ryan and his significant other, Riley. I have my son, Chris, and his wonderful wife, Jen, who, by the way, in addition to being a great daughter-in-law, throws one heck of a party. She and my wife planned my 60th birthday bash, and it was quite spectacular. There's a few videos I don't want circulated that attest to that, but so thank you. So when I was told I won this award, it caused me to rethink about my scouting experience. And just a little background on me, I grew up in the East Coast in Maryland, and for most of my childhood, it was a single-parent family. So being involved in Cub Scouts and then Boy Scouts really provided some of that structure that I think we all need, and it was a lot of fun. I can remember biking the old B&O Canal. Does everybody remember that? Well, if you lived in the East Coast, you would. I can remember camping and then waking up the next day and exploring some of the historic Civil War sites, walking the same grounds that those soldiers walked, and that was very moving. I learned a lot. I learned how to camp outdoors in the winter, and I learned really to be prepared there, as I realized I didn't have the right sleeping bag for that. I learned merit badges, one of which was first aid, which I used to help my cousin when he was hit by a drunken driver, so it came in handy. And I had fun canoeing, and I learned a lesson there too. When it's early in the season and you're in an aluminum canoe for 8 hours, you really should wear sunscreen. That's a lesson. So that was a painful lesson, but one I never forgot. So it was great to think where I was as a scout, but that was 50 years ago. I wanted to also reconnect and understand how scouting has changed with the times. And I had the great opportunity a few weeks ago to go to Fort Snelling and the base camp and see not only the existing camp, but the new facility that, as John mentioned, just opened. Totally impressive to catch up. The first thing I would say, and John mentioned, is, scouting's changed with the times, and I am fully confident we will have the first female Eagle Scout right here in the Northern Star Council, and that's something to be proud of. Merit badges have changed, okay? I mean, there was no merit badge for robotics when I was growing up. But there's a couple merit badges that have come into play, and this is one of them for renewable energy. I'm really proud of this one. This is one that all scouts, I think if you're going to be an Eagle Scout, you have to get this badge and a sustainability badge. So I'm really excited about that. I am excited with the way scouting connects to the community like never before. That same base camp, I think 85% of the people that come through there are not scouts, they're the community. One of the things I think we can do better, and what we did better 50 years ago, was connect more with the schools. We've got to let the schools know of the great opportunity that scouting provides. So I think we all can think of ways we can help get more embedded into the school system. So, and I guess I forgot the final thing that impressed me. I was so impressed I forgot about it. But I saw that scouting was keeping up with the times. I will also tell you, in a lot of ways, scouting was way ahead of the times. Think back to scouting 108 years ago. How many organizations were out there talking about the need to respect and take care of the environment? Think about it. Scouting was. How many organizations were out there teaching kids the love of the great outdoors and to get outdoors? Well, how important is that today? By the way, I'm glad there's no merit badge for texting, but we do need to get kids away from their video games. So I think what scouting was trying to do there is really way ahead of its time. And even when you think about merit badges, think about how we incorporate merit badges into all aspects of life today. Gamification, Fitbit, cultural and arts, you name it. It kind of comes with a badge, right? So scouting was ahead there. Scouting, of course, was way ahead teaching survival skills, which today, if you're good at it, you can be on a reality TV show. Don't go on Naked and Afraid, though. So Scouting meant a lot to me. It continues to mean a lot and grow with the times. And I think has been ahead of the times, but there's a lot that hasn't changed with Scouting and is timeless. And that's what we've heard before. It's great ability to build character in youth. You know, in today's society, I think we certainly can use things like kindness, loyalty, trustworthiness, cheerfulness, obedience, reverence, cleanliness, thriftiness. I mean, these are all things that when people possess those qualities, they add to society. And that's what we get in Scouting. And it's not just the society that benefits, the Scouts benefit. If you look at the statistics, and I love data, a significant amount, I think close to 80% of Scouts say that Scouting taught them to respect other people. Adults will tell you a significant amount of Scouts that when they become adults say they remember those lessons and those values in Scouts and how to treat other people and how to lead people. Scouts will tell you that Scouting taught them how to do their extra best, even when they thought they had done their best. And that's a great thing. Again, society benefits from that. But you know what else the statistics tell you? If you're in Scouting for 5 years, you're going to make significantly more on average than a non-Scout. So that's the investment you're making in yourself. And you should always be willing to bet on yourself. That's my lesson or tip I would tell you. So those are timeless things. And when I think about Xcel Energy and what we're trying to accomplish, and thanks, Chris, for mentioning some of that, our tagline is responsible by nature. We do want to lead the clean energy transition. We've already reduced carbon emissions by 35%. We believe we can get close to 80 by 2030 and do that without raising rates. There's a lot of other things we want to do as well, but it takes good, talented people around you to do that. And one of the things that we're really concentrating on as we hire the next generation of worker is, of course, skills are important, but values are a lot harder to teach than skills. So we've changed our HR processes to be much more focused upon values. So guys and gals and out there in the Scouting organization, when you're ready to start your career, think about Xcel Energy, and if not Xcel Energy, these other donors in this room, because we're all after the same thing, people with character and can-do attitude, and that is Scouting. So you really should be proud of yourself. I know I am, and everybody in this room is. I'll just close by, again, thanking everybody for being out here. It's a nice summer night. You chose to be out here and share this award with me and do what's right for Scouting. I really appreciate it. I want you all to travel home safely. And let's remember, as all good Scouts do, let's do a good turn every day. Thank you.